Professor Sandra Gesing. Are you here?
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Sebastian.
Hello. Thank you for
I'm
showing
good.
up. Yeah. So, if you agree, I will read the title of your presentation so you can then share with us, right?
Sounds good.
Perfect. Okay. So, today we have Professor Sandra Hessing. Sandra Hessing is the Executive Director of the United States Research Software Engineer Association, the Director of the Center of Excellence in Science Gateways, and a Senior Research at the San Diego Supercomputing Center. Her work focuses on science gateways, computational workflows, and sustainable research software. A strong advocate for career paths and recognition for research software engineers, she also leads initiatives that connect global communities through shared cyber infrastructure. Sandra highlights the importance of soft skills, including communication, collaboration, and leadership, as key to building effective research teams. Her career spans academia and industry, including roles at the Discovery Partner Institute, the University of Notre Dame, the University of Edinburgh, and the University of Tübingen. She holds a PhD in computer science from the University of Tübingen. Am I spelling it correctly? I hope so.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Okay, and today she is sharing with us her presentation. Not everything that entangles is quantum, empathy and collaboration in a global quantum community. Quantum technologies are advancing through revolutionary international and interdisciplinary collaboration. Success in this rapidly evolving field depends not only on technical expertise, but also on the ability to communicate, collaborate, and lead across diverse teams and cultures. This talk explores the human infrastructure behind quantum research, the interpersonal, intercultural, and organizational skills that enable innovation at scale, drawing from experiences in global science gateway initiatives and research software engineering communities. In this talk, practical strategies will be discussed for strengthening collaboration networks, fostering, supporting, and interconnecting communities, and cultivating leadership and empathy in quantum initiatives. It will also present actionable ideas for building strong professional connections and thriving in globally distributed quantum ecosystems. So, Sandra, can you share with us, please?
Yes. Let me bring that up. So can you see my slides? And I only have to put them in slideshow. Does everyone see my slides? Does that look good?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for the kind invitation. So yeah, I have in this talk, I have two hats on, or three hats. One is really with the US Research Software Engineer Association as executive director. And the next one, that is, you see the different template, that is with the director of the Center of Excellence for Science Gateways. So I switch between the templates when I have the different topics so that you recognize directly that it goes to a different topic. So yeah, as Sebastian said, not everything that entangled this quantum, empathy, and collaboration in a global quantum community is my talk today. And so if you look at not all entanglements are quantum, so you know from physics that entangled particles share a single state, no matter the distance. And Einstein called it like a spooky action at a distance because they go in the same state. They're dependent on each other. So, and if this is really the foundation of quantum computing, communication, and sensing. So that is where we build, our quantum computers on. And I use this as a metaphor for how people, ideas, and communities connect across boundaries, because that is a nice metaphor to say, oh yeah, we behave in the same way. Um, we are entangled with each other in this big global community. So how can we make really global research succeed? And so when people are entangled, to use the metaphor further, is really across disciplines, languages, and then institutions. So first of all, you have all these different types of stakeholders in quantum computing, and So the researchers, the educators, students, research software engineers, engineers around quantum infrastructure providers. Yeah, providers who have, computing power, maybe high performance computing, maybe it's hybrid with quantum. And it's really, everyone speaks not only maybe a different language from, let's say, between Spanish, English, French, um, natural languages, but also a different language because you come from a different domain, so there are different jargons. So therefore, it's really important to deal and connect with each other with empathy, really with active listening, and because community are fundamental for progress in such a big field. And because qubits and codes don't collaborate, people do. So it's really about people. And if you look at this graphic around active listening, first of all, in a collaboration, when you have your meetings, it's really important to pay 100% attention to the one you are talking to. And really also to be neutral about topics, be self-aware if you talk, that maybe the other person doesn't know what you are talking about, and active listening, hearing, listening for feelings about things you say. Or the other person might be, really feel strongly about things or very enthusiastic about things. It's good always to observe body language and ask for clarifying technique if you are not clear of whether you are all on the same page, and always be curious. The different topics, there will be always something between the different disciplines that is new, and you can paraphrase and summarize maybe at the end so that it's clear whether there's a same understanding of everything. And then really the awareness of context of the people you are talking to, and be just really empathetic. I think that is one of the big topics for communication and collaboration. So the collaboration connects us, but the leadership moves this forward. Therefore, I like really this graphic, because every thriving ecosystem needs both the coherence and the direction. For example, the event like this needs a lead. Someone has to be really, enthusiastic about. And that is Professor Barolio Villegas. So he set this up with his team, and he's enthusiastic, and he, feels accountable, and he is persistent. And that is what you need also in a community. You need these events if you want to organize something, if you want to organize a community. You need a lead who is really enthusiastic about the topic and stays with it and continues to work on it. So, so what truly connects us when we collaborate globally? Because it's globally is hard. It's the different time zones. We see it also in this event. There are many, different time zones. We have people from Mexico. We have people from the US. We have people from Europe, from India. That is, for some people, it's deep at night at the moment. So so what connects us to collaborate? It's a shared purpose and vision, really to focus on a topic, a shared curiosity and empathy, and also trust and respect and generosity to really listen to others, to understand what they're doing, trying to understand. Maybe not all the details between the different domains are always clear, and generate the culture of collaboration. So, and collaboration thrives when we listen as much as we speak, and connection is built in the moments often between results. When you, for example, celebrate a result, or when you celebrate that a paper got accepted, or this is really connection is built often between the working pieces. So when we look at shared purpose and vision, for example, often these big projects have a single, very ambitious and often difficult goal. So if you look, for example, at CERN and the Large Hadron Collider and the discovery of the Higgs boson, so CERN is operated by 23 member states. So there, if you have seen, for example, publications from CERN around the Higgs boson, um, you have like 70 people on a publication of 100, 150, because everyone did contribute a little bit. And in total, they have over 18,000 scientists from over 110 countries on these projects. So and there's really two massive, projects, the Atlas and the CMS experiments. And it really supersedes national or institutional rivalry in that moment, because it's important to get everyone together for these big topics. And I believe in that we have the same with quantum advantage and quantum supremacy. It's important that we all work together on this with all the different knowledge and expertise we can contribute. And I have here a graphic from IBM from 2018. And they, 2018, they said, oh, with the capability, whether we are quantum ready, we are, there at the beginning, where quantum computing is not really reaching the capabilities of classical computing yet. But I think that we are now at the line, you see the one in the middle. I think quantum computing is getting there. It has shown already that it can deal with different problems, bigger problems than classical computing can. That is really something we want to show in the quantum community, that there's a quantum advantage and there's a supremacy. That supremacy will be hard to show, that there, in general algorithms, we can really transfer on the quantum computers, but I think that quantum advantage, we are there to show that. So if we look at curiosity and empathy, so I like this kind of being curious opens the door to a topic. The empathy keeps it open to collaborate, and the leadership happens in the space between to really make the door open to see what you can lead. And empathic leaders are really, they're curious. They're perspective taking from all the different involved collaborators. And they self-regulate to really listen to the needs and to focus on the topic we want to solve. So the culture of collaboration, I uh, describe it how people really treat each other, how conflicts are resolved, how growth is encouraged. And you see this little pyramid. You really have the basis of trust, respect, and generosity. So, and with generosity, for example, I mean, if somebody, for example, you know, is part of the project, is working on the part and maybe has some hurdles, always feel like, okay, they do their best. Let's work together on that. We can do the next step. So the shared purpose and growth is on top of this. How to grow also the community, the collaboration, but also ourselves in the collaboration. And then there's the belonging and recognition to be part of this project, to be part of the community, to feel good in this community. I think that is really what we can achieve with the different aspects, with trust, respect, and generosity. And with that, so when we look at the technical solution, so the quantum space has lab instruments. So there's research software to help with this. We need, of course, high-speed networks with all the connection if we want a global collaboration. And we might have HPC, oh, there's a type of cloud, not cloud computing and quantum computing. And we work maybe with web-based agile frameworks to really open it up. And you see a little bit of that scientist in the middle between all these technical solutions, because not everyone is the expert in all these different technical aspects. So what does that mean? That we need science gateways, that I will explain in a moment, to make the scientist a happy scientist. So this way, that what is a science gateway? So science gateways are full stack solutions that provide streamlined access to complex research infrastructure for researchers, educators, and students, and also for industry. And it's really integrating community-specific tools and services into web portals or applications that enable broad research communities to collaborate, share resources, and accelerate scientific discovery efficiently. So if we look at this, so on the one hand side, we have the stakeholder groups, researchers and educators. We have students, research software engineers, and engineers. On the other side, you have all these, what I showed, the different lab instruments, and additionally also data repositories. You have computational methods. You might have AI. You're working with machine learning. And science gateways are the way to really that they act as bridges. And you need something like security and authentication. You need tools, for example. In a quantum science gateway, you want tools to work with quantum in the background, or to have quantum simulation, or have a data integration really with quantum data and visualizations. And one of the examples is on that Qubit Hub, that is our Qiskit Fall Fest, so organizing group, and I'm a co-founder. So Qubit Hub is a science gateway for teaching quantum algorithms, and it's available openly and accessible. So this is one example for a science gateway. So, and why do we need science gateways? So first of all, it's broadening access and lowering barriers. So this is really for, if we want to globally collaborate, it's important that it's accessible from all the different countries and cities and universities, from industry. It's really, you want one central entry. So it's driving discovery, because you can do in a science gateway everything with different tools. You can make it available. You can maybe plug the quantum computers behind it. So you will see in the next days when there is the industry portion that there are quite a few ones, you can start to use nowadays. And you have really this different research domains you can work with AI, you can work with healthcare, energy, national security, advanced manufacturing. So that is all where quantum can really also be of a lot, accelerate science, and it can boost economic impact. So really the national impact, because if you have it all in one platform where people can work together, then it's also really, you can bring it to industry. You can accelerate the science and then put it maybe in startup companies. You maximize the federal investment. So if there's funding really from investments, federal can be the one, the other one could be also startup companies via other companies. So it's really maximizing it to use the resources idly. And it enhances education and workforce development, and for each country, the national competitiveness. So the Center of Excellence for Science Gateways, what we offer are really three areas. So we give practical advice. So for example, sustainability training. So we have a focus week and jumpstart. We have technology selection consulting. So for example, if you want to build something for quantum uh, around a science gateway, what is the technology you would like to use? What you would really, like to see? What is the goal of your science gateway? We have usability and graphic design consulting. And then we do a lot around community building. So with networking and thought leadership. For example, we have an annual Gateways conference. We were just last month in Green Bay, Wisconsin, on tribal land. So that was our first time that we gave the conference on tribal land. We have blueprint factories. I will go into more detail with the blueprint factories, because this is how to get the community also together to see the next stage, to be very innovative. We have community surveys, what people really want to see in science gateways, what are pain points, what is needed from the Science Gateway Institute and the Center of Excellence, and monthly webinars where people can really listen to different technologies, so you can join those. Visiting presentation on the road is like this one, for example, giving a presentation at a different event. So, and we are looking into career development. So we have faculty and student hackathons. We have a summer internship at the Texas Advanced Computing Center. So every year, a couple of students can have a 9-week internship. So we offer hackathons and a coding institute online. So if you look into the blueprint factories, what we do there, so it's a really 12 to 18 months collaborative workshop, and it means, so we bring research software engineers together, maybe quantum engineers, scientists, infrastructure operators, and this is really, we have one blueprint factory for quantum, and we want to see what are the points, what do we need for the next stage to bring the area really to the next stage with science gateways. And what we want to see at the end is a white paper for the blueprints. And we start then with a core team. So 5 core infrastructure experts and 5 domain experts per factory. And for the blueprint factory for quantum, it's quantum experts. And how does that work? So first of all, we identify domain experts and contacts, and then we create interview guides and conduct interviews with a minimum of 30. So that means we are talking really to quantum providers, to quantum industry, to quantum professors from different physics, chemistry, computing, quantum computing, to really hear from them. So what is needed? How can we support from our community, the Science Gateway community? And then we synthesize the results and validate findings with wider surveys. So that is, with this one, we probably will do it. We don't do that with every blueprint factory. We had a sustainability blueprint factory, for example, where we did not do that. So it's really driving innovation, because what we want to do with the white papers is we widely distribute them, that people can read, that it's really an actionable solution, that is an enhanced collaboration between stakeholders. And it's forward-looking studies for the next generation of science gateways, and in this case, science gateways and quantum computing. So what we really look at the moment, so we had our first discussion, it just started. So we want to develop reusable workflow templates for quantum classical hybrid computing, because that is a lot what is happening at the moment. So often the problems we are solving with quantum at the moment is we can still do part of it on classical computing, but we really can increase the performance, accelerate problems that we cannot really solve on classical computing with the combination of quantum and classical computing. So we connect educators, research software engineers, and infrastructure providers, so to be in a bigger community with different knowledge, with different expertise. And we identify barriers to really do the adoption and create training for blueprints. But what can really institutions do to follow, to make this more accessible for education, for research? And we will also publish a white paper here. So if we think about, I've mentioned several times research software engineers, and these are really often hidden contributors. So you might have seen the movie Hidden Figures. So the real hidden figures have really acted as human computers. So they were in the late 19th to the early 20th century at Harvard already. They did all the calculations by hand. I mean, computers were not available around that time. And since 1935, they are also at NASA. And they really did the calculations for the first, start to the flying to the moon. So that was still the hidden figures behind, they called them the human computers. And a little bit research software engineers are like that. Because often in academia and national labs, what is important is bringing in money and having publications. Research software engineers creating research software. So, and we like the definition of research software engineers, um, that they're inclusive, that it's everyone who regularly use expertise in programming to advance research. So that includes researchers who really spend time on this, full-time software engineers writing code to solve research problems, and everyone in between. And so we aspire to apply the skills and practices of software development to research and to create more robust, manageable, and sustainable research software. So that is the definition we have on the USRSE website. There's a shorter definition from the Society of Research Software Engineering in the UK. And it combines professional software engineering expertise with an intimate understanding of research. So USRCE, the first steps were in winter 2017 to 2018. And I talk about this community because that shows that it can grow really nationally and globally. So the US survey of RSEs, there were 175 responses at that time, and 12 responded with interest to build a national community. And the UK sponsored the first international RSE leaders meeting with 5 US delegates, and the UK had already, their society of research software engineering. So they started in 2013. So, and we had done in 2018, I'm one of the founding members. The first Slack space and the first website went live. And so we built the steering committee in 2018, and we had the first elections and annual general meeting 2020. And in the picture, that is the first international RSE leaders meeting. And you see me somewhere in the back on the right-hand side. So, and if you look at this, we had this growth since 2018. So we did grow from 10 to now over 3,700 people. And you see also, and I did this on purpose. So most people are joining from the US, but we have also some joining from Mexico. So you see some universities joining here. And our mission is really to create community, create a professional community to have to share knowledge, connection, and resources. And I heard we just had our conference also in October. A lot of people were like, "Yeah, this is my community. Even if I'm not called a research software engineer, that is exactly what I do." And we advocate that really RCEs are needed and their big impact on research, and that they have a critical role. We provide resources. I will talk a little bit more about this, and we actively promote DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So if we look at 2013, it started, because the talk is also about the global component, it started in the UK, and this is 2025. So these are all associations around research software. So you can see the US here. Canada has one. They cannot call themselves research software engineers because they have a law that engineers has to have really the degree. But still, they built this coalition around research software. And you see we have Iceland and the Nordic countries, from France to Germany to the Netherlands, Ireland, UK. These are all. Africa has a research software engineer, Switzerland, Australia, New Zealand, Asia. And I hope after my talk today, people consider that there should be an RSE in Mexico, of course. And Chile has also is very new. Chile just got together to have a research software engineer association. So on the 9th October, we had the International Research Software Engineering Day, and these are the list of all the association. So from Belgium to Danish, society in Germany. So you see the ones I did show already on the map. So what did we do really to build community? And I think that is one of the actionable items if you want to build community around something. So we created a website. That was one of the first things. We created the Slack workspace. We have a monthly newsletter. So we are active on LinkedIn, Twitter, Mastodon, Blue Sky. We have a job board, which is very active. It's one of our most visited websites. And we have a YouTube channel where you can, watch talks, our community calls. So we have monthly community calls. We have an annual conference. This is a picture from our second conference. Then we have a DI speaker series and media club, an education and trainer speaker series. The National Lab Speaker Series is also going on, and we are going to different conferences and to Birds of the Feather workshops, and we do outreach here, for example. This is a booth how we have that at the supercomputing conference that was last year, and this year I go there in 10 days again and have outreach to people that the more people hear about us and can join us, the better. So the other thing that works really well for us is working in affinity groups because it creates results and it creates community also and a sense of belonging. So we have, for example, code review. So people really working with each other to look at each other codes. We have the community calls to prepare them, the monthly ones. We have the DI working group, the education and training, a funds group that looks into how to support the community. Yeah, group management, mentorship program. We have user experience testing, different here. Affinity groups are more around a topic, let's say, like a leaders network or how institutional RSE networking function, neuroscience group, for example. And we are in the process of building regional groups because most of our activities, except for the annual conference, are all virtual. But it's sometimes nice to be really in person to have this exchange because it's a different exchange to be able really to discuss in person, to mingle with each other. So these are good aspects. So that is one also of the actionable items to have really events that are in person that help with, making connections. So Zoom allows us for a lot of things or any virtual platform, but the personal contact has still a different quality. And I think that is important also in community building, if it's possible. So we have created resources around hiring, managing, and retaining, for example, data scientists and research software engineer in academia. And we worked with the IEEE Computer Society together on a brochure for research software engineers. One of the working groups created really this how to getting started with RSE movement within your organization. And this is, for example, not only for RSEs. This could be something for quantum engineers. This is how do you work on an institution together? Because often quantum engineers are distributed over the university and then working in silos. It's not always all in one team. So this would be nice to connect to each other and be able to support each other with quantum research. So that is around building a community of practice. So there is really a shared purpose and clear identity. So being in quantum, you have the identity that you want to improve. You're part being of a revolution, to be honest. At the moment we are at that state. 5 years ago, it still sounded like, oh, it's far away. I think we are really near. There's so much happened in the last 2 years that it's very impressive. It's fantastic to be part of that journey. And it's, yeah, really important to identify and engage stakeholders from experts in different areas, like bringing physicists together with computer scientists, with engineers because the hardware needs to be built, software needs to be developed. The, you know, the basic rules from physics has to be applied. So to establish then really clear goals, metrics, and objectives, what do we want as a community of practice? And there could be several community of practice for quantum around different topics. And then it comes back to this really being empathetic and inclusive and a supportive environment so that that people feel welcome, that people want to contribute. So then having training and professional development opportunities is a really good thing to offer in a community of practice and build on online presence and communication channels, because if we want the global community, we still have to do, of course, the online presence. And yeah, foster collaboration on the open source project, for example, sharing in the next couple of days with the companies. A lot of the companies are sharing open source project around quantum to really have the adaptation that people can really try it, that people can learn from it, that they can contribute. Then it's also important to measure impact and adapt. So why, what are the reasons why members join? And we asked this in US RSE, and they were like, they're feeling addressed and included. So research software engineers until 7, 8 years ago, it was not even a well-known title in the US. Um, Worldwide, it started, the UK already was further along since they started 2013, but it was not well known. But people had this job and they did not really know to which community they belong. And the more people join the community, the more they say, oh yeah, this is my community, that is what I'm doing. And it needs to be a space for open discussions and for learning, and also really support of a non-traditional career path. And I see the same also for quantum coming here. So how can USRC and SGX3 really support the quantum ecosystem and help to build this global community? So one is really strengthen the human side of quantum innovation. That is how I started the talk at workforce development, community collaboration. I think that is really important. And USRSE connects already over 3,700 professionals who bridge research and engineering. The individual membership is free. So, and we have organizational members also, and we always welcome more organizational members. So they support USRE in its mission and also with membership fees. So USRC is part of a worldwide movement, as you have seen, with all the different countries. So maybe that really a chapter of quantum engineers could be in the RSE community. Maybe that is part to elevate also what has to be done in the quantum community in the quantum era. And SGX3 can also help with us. We have the dedicated workforce development programs around science gateways, a lot at the moment with high performance computing and distributed computing. But yes, we start looking into quantum computing too. We started the blueprint factory for quantum. So to see what are the pain points, where science gateways really can help to build community, but also have solutions to accelerate research in quantum. So So how can we further support? Promoting best practices in software engineering for research, for example. You have heard George talk before mine. It's important also to think about these things. It's important to have this version control, testing, documentation. And it's really important to have shared development models that make quantum tools also reusable and transparent. So maybe you are using simulations. So for example, like the quantum rings will show you next week a lot of simulation environment. But we have also from IBM some hardware behind it. Kubright can connect to different hardware. So it's really important to partner with quantum initiatives and so to have long-term sustainability beyond individual grants or individual projects, so that the all the research having this open collaboration to share results, because that accelerate knowledge, like it did it for CERN. The same can happen with quantum. The same would be great to have that with quantum, to have many projects working together, to build curricula, to help the workforce development, to get people into the space and that they can use quantum computers. And yeah, and by the way, this is I let this graphic create by AI, and of course AI, I did not see that directly, has a typo in there, so never trust AI. It has some mistakes there. So open collaboration, I know how to write it. AI did not. So, and yeah, SGX3 and our USRC are gateway builders. So we are really bringing people together with data, with software, and with ideas. And for quantum, what I would see at the moment is really making remote hardware accessible. Integrate quantum and classical workflows. What I said a little bit, this at the moment we are at that stage, we still really cannot say that we can put everything on quantum computers. The algorithms are not there, but we can make already the mixture of both. And we can share best practices across the different disciplines. So, for example, research software engineer can share across what are good research software practices, and engineers can share from the quantum side what are good practices there. How to reduce, for example, the error in quantum simulations, how on quantum computers. So, and one of the science gateways in quantum is QubitHub. So that is one of the examples where we can, bring people together and let people learn, researchers and students, what are the basic algorithms for quantum. So if you look at USRC, SGX3, QubitHub, and then industry, the next days you will hear a lot about industry and looking at global quantum communities. So there's really, USRC can help with workforce and professional community. SGX3 can help with workforce, gateway and integration expertise. QubitHub expands the network globally. Everyone worldwide can use it. And it has multilingual support. It has Spanish, French, and English. And if you look at companies in quantum, as I said, the ones you hear about next week, and organizations like QWorld, that is already a global quantum community doing some exchange. And I think together we can build a sustainable quantum gateway ecosystem with all these different forces, and having really activities like online presence, training, helping with workforce development, helping with platforms that people can try simulations, create simulations, can all these different aspects. And with that, thank you for helping build an empathetic and innovative quantum world. And now I give it my best. So my pronunciation is in Spanish not always yet so good. So, gracias por ayudar a construir un mundo cuántico, empático y innovador. Thank you very much.
Oh, muchas gracias, Sandra. That was a great presentation, and we do what? Okay. Sorry, Sandra, you still there?
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, for some reason I stopped. So if you agree, we can go with the questions.
Oh, yes. So, yeah, I stopped sharing because I thought that people want to ask questions now.
Oh,
Don't want
yeah.
to see
Okay.
the
So
slide. Okay.
first one, in Latin America and especially in Mexico, there's growing enthusiasm for quantum science but limited institutional support. What advice would you give to emerging communities trying to connect globally?
So one is really to reach out to existing quantum global communities. So one is the example I had, and I don't want to. So there are, I think, three big global quantum communities already. And the one I had on my slide is the Q world. So I would connect to this one. The other thing is also really to look into solutions where you can exchange, have discussion group, have training events which are globally. Maybe, if the institution, when your own institution cannot offer the, then maybe look for institutions who can offer it. Like the Kisket Fall Fest is a wonderful event every fall now. I don't know how many years it's now. I know it was already the last 2 years. That is something to get into contact with the global community. Having, this connection is really good. The other thing is organizations like Kubitab or the Science Gateway, maybe having a community around this, maybe creating, really meetings. One is to be part of a global community. If you have a strong local group, that also helps a lot. So that, for example, if you can already team up maybe at your university between the students, between professors who support you, that would be a good chance. Then also to globally reach out, maybe organize something like a webinar series, because a lot of people offer to give talks for free. If you know, oh, this is an expert about exactly the topic we want to learn about, maybe organize that, maybe bring it on the internet. So I think really it's community activity, starting on the really, let's say, internet side is a good way to start, and from existing organizations. And USRC is happy also to support.
Okay. Thank you. George Deal, our last speaker, just left a comment. He says, I attended the United States Research Software Engineer conference, and it was an open and accepting group of people excited to share and collaborate. It's worth introducing yourself on the Slack and meeting some people.
Thank you, George. So
Yeah.
he just joined so yeah, George is also a new member of USRC, and I think he heard about USRC maybe a couple of months ago. So we are very
Yeah.
happy that he liked also the conference.
Great. Daniel, what do you think is the most underrated soft skill that can completely change a scientist's career? And I'm going to take note of this.
Yeah. I think that totally underrated one, and where people are not oft asking for, is I would really think empathy. Empathy is something people will ask you whether you are curious if you go into research. People will ask you whether how to deal with setbacks. I think since it's so interdisciplinary, empathy is the one. If you can show that you are really respectful with, and that you can think a little bit in that way, if you're in a big group with interdisciplinary people who are all talking in a different language. It is
Mhm.
not, because physicists talk totally different about their problems than, for example, computer scientists do. And I know, I know that. That is okay. But being empathy, showing empathy for that, um, I think the main skills really you need is to always empathy, curiosity, communication skills. And the one I think really helped me in my career was the active listening, the one I had at the beginning, to really be aware of when you meet people, start to listen more than talking. We all are enthusiastic about our topics, and I can say I'm one of the people who likes also talking. So I'm not, but
That's great.
it's, I think listening is a big skill and people will appreciate that.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
to say only one example, so one of the colleagues I met first when I moved to the US, so I'm originally from Germany. Um, when I moved 12 years ago to the US, he said where he was really, why he kept in contact with me after we met the first time at a conference was like, you did listen first before you gave me feedback. A lot of people talk very fast after I say things, and so I have the positive experience. People really appreciate that people are listening.
Great. Okay, next question. Could Latin American institution partner with your United States Research Software Engineers initiative to develop training programs or share projects?
Yes, we can partner. We don't have federal funding, which often excludes a little bit, to partner on things. We can partner internationally.
Great to know that. Finally, how can Mexico and the United States work together to build an inclusive quantum community across borders? Following that line.
Yeah, it is. And I think really starting, I would think we should reach out to one of the global communities and we could help to have really this collaboration saying, let's USRC helps with organizing something in Mexico and vice versa. Mexican community members help to do something in the US. I think this is always a good way to start. And yes, I invite you all, join USRE. I can put that also in this here or in the chat or later deliver this. It's individual membership is for free. We can make a Slack channel around Quantum, have discussions there, set up meetings. Yeah, that's happy to set that up with USRE. Yeah.
Great to know that. Okay, Juna asks, how do you create a culture of trust and openness among collaborators from different disciplines or cultures?
So I think this is exactly where people, need to be careful. It is one part is the active listening. Then there's of trying to avoid jargon because if only half of the group understands what you're talking about, then and I've sat in meetings where people thought they talk about the same thing, but I didn't know they don't. So when people, for example, talk about workflows, part of my computational colleagues are in computational workflows. So really, and then workflows means for biologists something totally different. So it's not a computational workflow. So I think avoiding a jargon, being open, inform yourself if you know before the meeting who is there, what are their backgrounds? Because most of them you find from which department they come or what the so being interested in their background, I think is important and showing also that you are interested, that it's not and that you want. So for a computer scientist, it's often we help other researchers to do their research because there is computer science research to around, yeah, we make this algorithm more efficient or something. But normally computer scientists like me, we work to make research for other people happen. And I think as physicists, for example, you have your own research. But what you want is that people use your research. So maybe listening to them what they need in their applications. It would be then good to say, okay, what do we need to prove in physics that this application can be more efficient? So yeah, these are starter points to really build trust and always being, respectful, like the code of conduct you signed. You know, be respectful to people, be open about like, and there's not everyone makes mistakes. If somebody makes a mistake in the room, not trying to make them feel bad about it. That is, or if somebody doesn't know a specific topic, be generous and explain it in detail. So if you know about it. So I think it's really a respectful behavior to create this and making it also from the beginning about listening to others. And if everyone does that, I think then you have this open environment, the trust environment.
Okay, we still have a couple of minutes, so let's press on. You mentioned the importance of empathy in scientific communication. How can we cultivate that empathy within highly technical or competitive research environments?
I know it is really highly competitive, and I know that. Um, the question everyone, has to ask themselves, what do I want to be known for? So if you, for example, have a field where you say, okay, this is really important for me, that I do it in a small group, only with people I trust, and because I need to get this proof done before someone else, and I want to publish it, then it's for that topic maybe exactly the right way. But if it's, I come with my computer science hat in this regard, I decided many years ago, I just tell everyone what I plan to do. I I try always to offer it as open source. I want people to use it. I and if then people start to steal my idea, honestly, then I have already this archive paper out there or the first example that I did that I started it. So, and normally the reaction is also if somebody is very openly bringing this is the next step, that is what we want to do, this is, we in computer science we can do that because then people are like, okay, I can make a copy, but it's not, you are still known for this. I think in theoretical physics it's probably harder, and I totally agree with that. In a competitive environment with quantum, I think you have to decide per topic which way you want to go. I can only say, as soon as it's also a collaboration in several teams, which are a lot of quantum topics, you cannot solve them alone anymore. Um, Try to collaborate instead of being a competition. If there is someone you think who can contribute, why not asking that they can join for a specific challenge?
Of
Um,
course.
I know, but it's not as easy as it sounds. Don't get, for example, Science Gateway frameworks. There are about 20 different frameworks out there, which are kind of in competition, but they have their different strengths. And it did show after a while we can collaborate with each other on specific topics, and sometimes we compete with each other. It is what it is.
Okay. So thank you, Professor Sandra Gesing, for your talk. It was very delightful to have you here, and thank you all the attendees for staying with us this day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much having me, and I hope everyone enjoyed and enjoy the weekend. I know over the weekend we still have also more talks, so
Of course. So stay tuned and see you next time.
see you.
Thank you. See you. For all us, thank you for joining us today. We look you tomorrow at 8 a.m. Chicago time for the third day of the Kiski Fall Fest 2025 for COVID Hub. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.